Now I need to make that a hash. Hit save, and boom, now we have it working. And you can do decorations to the fonts. You can font dash decoration, I believe. I can't remember what it's called. Can't remember. These text decorations. There we go. You're gonna get a lot of these. You're not gonna memorize everything. I don't memorize everything. I've been doing it for a little bit, and I plan on making more and more videos. But you're gonna see. I'm not gonna remember everything either. It's not about always remembering everything. It's about knowing where to find the information you need. I don't go around and copy everybody's code and then just slap it and call it mine. No, I look up useful tools on things like W3 schools, Stack Overflow, GitHub, and I look and I'm asking questions and getting answers basically. So don't be afraid to ask questions. So tech decoration, underline. Well, you can also do the strike through that I mentioned earlier. Line through, line through, strike through, line through. Just depends what you want to do. So now we're actually seeing some style. So this div took the whole thing because I didn't set a width, so it just automatically makes it the width of the window with its margin. There is a minimum the window will go, so you're good to go. If I gave this a width, this div right here, which is called first div, a width, then it will set the width. And if you don't want it to resize with the window, it won't. It'll overflow off the side of the page. And sometimes that you need that, a lot of times you don't. Depends on what you're doing. So if your client or your boss or whoever tells you, hey, I want this to spill over, then set a width. If you have a standard size of the window that you're doing, and go ahead and set it and call it a day. All right, so takes care of a few, like even up here for the div, I might just call this, honestly, I'm everywhere with the classes and IDs, but I could just give this IDs of headers. Simple as that. It's clear, it's concise. So every time that I make a headers, so I could have a header one here, and then maybe I create a div down here and I gave that a header. So I'll just call that a headers. And then this will allow me to keep things very organized and, you know, looking the same. And then if I want to change, maybe this one I want to have a blue border, I can give a title to the H7s and I can change the titles there if I want. And that's going to take precedence. So if I go ahead and I call my header one, I give my dot, header -1. Oh, did I already do that? Yes, I did. So, so that one should take precedence. So if I call headers down here, it's either ID or class takes precedence over two, or it depends on how they're called in there. So, again, that's a good thing to test out. So we're just going to use the same thing. We're going to call it a different color, just to see what we can get happen. So see, oh yeah, that's the div this time. That's right. It wouldn't do that. So that's not what I want to show. I wanted to show if I gave this an ID. Apologies. So we'll call this headers. Well, no, we'll call this first header. And yes, you do have to put these in the quotation marks. If I didn't, then it's going to give you a, it's not going to work. So, and then I'll change this first dash header. And it didn't do anything. So that means either I spelt it wrong, which is known to happen. But what it means is that the class is taking precedence first, if that's not, but I believe ID is the one. So if I change the ID to anything, it should always do that. So even if the order is changed, I believe it should do that still. Delete that from up there. Now my order is changed. So some things order does matter. Whatever comes first matters. Whatever comes last matters. So it's a good thing to keep practicing. Here we can see that ID is taking precedent over the class. So you're going to see sometimes, I have been seeing it, like instructors and other coders, they put their IDs first because it does take precedent over the class. And then you'll see people put their class first because in their head that makes more sense. And that's fine, as long as it's consistent, like I said. But as we see, ID is taking precedent over a class. So I can change this class to whatever I want now, but it's not going to implement. Because my ID is telling it, hey, I already said it and I'm first. Now, if I say, let's see here, what can we do? I want to change that to, I don't know, purple. It'll change it. Now, if I change it, like I said, if I try to put it down here, we'll see that, yes, it is implementing. I saved it real quick to show you. The class is implementing, but the ID is the one taking over. It is the first to be implemented. So I could give this more padding, or I'll give it more margin. Margin left, say 30 pixels. It moves it over more. Now, since this one didn't say anything about margin, it doesn't change that. It doesn't override it, basically. That's what it's doing. The ID is overriding it. Now, if I did say I want margin on here, margin left, and I want it to be 10 pixels, well, then it overrides whatever the class says. No matter what the class says, the ID is going to override it. It's not going to go the other way around. So you're going to ask, why would that even be useful? Because at certain times you're going to want something to implement on just the IDs. So maybe I'm using first header in more than one spot. Obviously, this might be called something different that would make more sense to you, but I could have separate divs that I want one specific thing to happen, or a couple, but I don't want it to do it everywhere. So that's why I would call it on just the ID. And I want that to override whatever its current one is. Whatever its current settings are, I want it to be this. But I want it to keep some of its class settings. So that's where we can get in there and kind of empower your CSS to kind of be more flexible than it would normally be. If I just use classes or I just use IDs, you're not going to have as much flexibility. Everything in the ID is what's in the ID, and everything, whatever was in the class is in the class. You're only using one, so you can't really go around and make small changes here and there. So as you get used to it, as you start using it, you will be more comfortable with it. So promise. So last thing I want to show on this, I'll make another div, and I'm going to put in a link. So yes, I put in a link here for the style sheet. This is different. This is more of the hyperlink kind of thing. So for that, the tag is A. And yes, you can use a link, but we're just going to use A. It gives you this href. All right, that's where you can put in your website. your hyperlink, wherever you want to go. So we'll call it google.com, just make it simple. And we'll say, hey, it's called Google. And boom, here's a hyperlink that just magically appeared at the end of your page because you called it. Yes, you can style this inside your style sheet. So it's not blue and it doesn't have an underline. It depends what you want to do with it. And I could just do that simply by for all my links. Maybe I just don't want to do it. Text decoration, none. Now it gets rid of the underline. And I can say, you know what, I want the color to be red because I just want to. Oh, it's that quick and easy. Once you start learning, you know, the simple uses of it, and again, you're not going to memorize everything. So if you ever need to Google something or go on Stack Overflow, as long as you're not copying code, I would never say anything to anybody, right? Because we all need to look things up. There's just so much to programming, and it may seem overwhelming, but since there's so many resources out there, it makes it so much easier. So knowing where to find the information is half the battle. So never be afraid. And like I said, as long as you're not taking other people's work and copying their entire code and then pasting it into yours and saying, this is my work, you know, you'll be fine. Like sometimes we do have similar code as each other, or sometimes we need to use a bit of people's code. If you need to, you know, give credit where credit's due. You could always ask permission. You could always give a comment within your own code saying where you got it from, web page, whatnot, or the person. You know, cite your source if you want to. I mean, it's not something that you really seem to have to do, but it, you know, I would. If I'm using somebody else's, you know, hard work, I would want to give them that. So another tag, you know, yeah, we'll do an image. Fine. So we'll put an image here. Now source, SRC, source. That is where we're going to need to look up an image. So we'll just do puppies. Everybody loves puppies. You don't love puppies? I don't know what to say. So we'll go there. We like this one. Well, that one's good. We're going to copy the link address. I'm going to just paste it into the source. I don't know if this is copyrighted picture, but it's just for purposes. So, no, did that not? Oh, shoot. No. That did not go in there. So something is wrong. Right? No, did I not copy the right thing? So click on the photo and do it on the small screen. The copy image address. I'm doing here. Control V, click save. There we go. But make sure you copy the right address. That's all I gotta say. Happens. If something doesn't work, don't panic. You can always fix it. And that's why you do saves. You always want to save your work as you're going along. Maybe you make a mistake. I don't know why that went lowercase g. I like it. So Google now has a little puppy for their image below. So that's all you really need to do with the image. The images, of course, you can style it inside of your style sheet. I could give this an ID. ID equals copy. Save. If you don't save inside your HTML file, your CSS file will not know what you're talking about. So you always want to make constant saves. All right. Can't say that enough. So we got puppy, and we want to change the height of this. We want to make the image smaller to fit on what we got. So, you know, it's bigger than everything we have out there. So we're gonna manipulate its height. So 250 pixels sounds all right to me. Nope, bigger. Not what I wanted. Boom, now it's smaller. Now it's right next to it. Simple as that. Now, if I wanted to not make it next to it, I can add it into a div, or I can manipulate this div itself. But that gets a little bit more complicated right now than what I'm prepared to do in this video. Just wanted to really get, hit on these tags and a little bit of the style sheet. Wasn't going to go over in this video, but it's really hand in hand. There's no point not teaching both at the same time. If you guys want to see a video just on styles, I am going to get there, but if you have something specific, let me know in the comments, and I, of course, can put it into the video. No problems there. Last one we'll do, you know what, we're going to create it outside of this div. We're going to create a button real quick. Simple little button. You can actually create buttons without the button tag, but this is the easiest way to go through it. So we can say button, call it a button, and there's a button. Does not do a darn thing because we have no JavaScript. We're not telling it to do a thing. I could have the button with a link inside of it. I don't remember exactly. I think I put it here. No, I don't remember. So no. Let's see here. Can't remember. I think you put the link inside of it. Then I could just do Google.com. I think. I can't remember. It's here. No, that's the wrong place for it. I can't remember the right place for it. Oh, I think this goes on the other side. Does this go on the outside or in the inside? I don't remember off the top of my head. This is not how I create buttons, by the way. Okay, cannot get Google.com. That means I done messed that up. This is not how I normally create buttons. Let's go on the outside, maybe. So normally I would create it like I have a link, but honestly, I've been doing it inside my JavaScript because it's cleaner to have it in there. I have no idea. I think this is so wrong. So I want to go back. Save. Oh, hit the wrong save area. All right. So does the button work now? No, I don't know why it's doing that. Internet. Yeah. So again, this is not how you do it in the first place. I think maybe it goes inside the tag. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see here. This is where once you start copy and pasting everywhere, you're not really following your flow of work anymore. It gets a little away from you. So I don't recommend doing it this way. All right, so yeah. I'll leave that up. We could just look it up. Like I'm saying, don't be afraid to look things up. So how to insert link in a button. HTML, look at that. And auto update. Everybody looks things up. And w3schools.com is really good. Like they have a lot for HTML. If you have a question you need answered and you're Googling something, this guy's gonna pop up most of the time. So let's see here, button. Where is the button? Nope. There we go. On click. So we could just do an on click instead of doing the A. I know there's a way to do the button part, but on click looks like it works for me. It's simpler too. You're not dealing with multiple tags. So we'll just on click equals that other tag. All right, ready to go. On click. I have not used the on click inside HTML to be honest. Does it work? Nope. Or what am I doing wrong? Probably everything. See here, so we have example to use HTML button as a link. You have to add some JavaScript code. JavaScript allows you to specify what happens at certain events. So we have on click, google.com. I wonder if I typed it wrong. On click. All right, so then we have document location. Oh, see, and that's why. So it's not going to work like we wanted it to, because this is actually calling on a document location. So that's something we'll learn later once we get to JavaScript. So that's not going to work for this, because that is something entirely different. So yeah. So there's gotta be somewhere. So how to create a button, Stack Overflow. You're gonna see these guys a lot. So these are two main, all right, two of the biggest resources. So let's see here, continue. These guys show that on click too, but I don't want to do that one. We have button, type submit, continue. They're showing all the different ways. Yeah, mainly because that's what you normally do. You don't normally do it this way. That's what I'm saying. I know there is a way, but I don't remember the old way, to be honest. Let's see here. So, but this obviously requires JavaScript. No, that's not true. So trying to make a button act like a link is a wrong solution. It's not necessarily wrong, it's different. That's what I would say. It's different. Because I know that because one of my instructors before taught us that, told us not to do it, but you could if you wanted to. But you're gonna just check one last resource. That one shows on click too. So, window location, okay. Well, I'm not gonna do all that right now because it's not the end of the world. Form action, there you go. We're not ready for forms. All right, so for body, no. Class button. All right, so they're just calling it class button. So just know that we can do that. I wonder if I put we're gonna try this. We're gonna put the A inside the button. See what happens. So what we did is we went ahead and we put the A tag inside the button. We renamed it button. And let's see what happens. That might solve the problem. Cannot get google.com. I don't know why it's doing that. That's so weird. All right, so let's try a different website then. That's so weird. Oh, is it because I'm not doing HTTP? Stop. sometimes it's very specific. So I have to do, what is it, HTTPS / and I just completely destroyed my button. Insert's probably on HTTPS, so I'm going / www.google.com. See if that works. Go back. Clicking save. Clicking save. Button. Does it work now? Yay, there we go. Again, forgot to simply put the HTTPS / / and then your www.google.com, and then the link works. Now that does work. It like the person said, no, that doesn't work. It's like, no, it will work if that's the way you have it set up. So we can put the link inside of the button, and it's just right there. Now, since we did that, our A style sheet is taking over, and it's making it red. So if you really wanted to, you give this thing a, get rid of this, that is not needed, an ID, we'll call it button. Go ahead and call that down here, button. Color, we'll make the color black. No, because we applied it to the, did I say? Yes, I did say. Because I already applied it to the tag itself, it's overriding the ID. So you're gonna want to look out for that. Forgot about that. So if I wanted to make this more specific, I'll put this as an ID equals Google. Google link, because that's what it is. There is no harm in being very specific. So we'll call this Google link. I don't know if they're gonna like me putting their Google link as red, but that's just what it is. Dash link. I can, boom, have it there. Now the only thing is, it does make your button with an underline now because it is a link. So again, like I said, to get rid of that, we just do text decoration, none. Should have gotten rid of it, but it didn't. Oh, because that's on button. All right, so we're gonna see here, button. Why is that not working? Oh, because it's inside the A, not out. See, this is where it gets complicated once you start putting things, divs inside of divs. You're gonna want to know how to call it properly. So I believe that should work. Wonder why it's not. What you believe and what happens are two very different things. So text decoration not working. So I actually have to call it on the A. So we're gonna have to go here, ID, call this the Google button. We're just gonna call it here. And then as you can see, now it is black. There is no text decoration. You just gotta know which tags you're calling into. There's order for everything, like we just learned. I tried to apply no text decorations to the div, or for the button tag, but the button technically doesn't have an underline anyways. So I had to apply it directly to the A tag, the link tag. And so I quickly made an ID for that. And since I have a button here, and then I just call it a Google button. If I wanted to add more buttons, maybe I'll call it, you know, Facebook button, Twitter button, whatever you want to call it. Just make sure it makes sense to you and you'll know what it is once you see it. So I think I'm going to wrap that up for today. If you guys like the video, please hit thumbs up down below and subscribe if you like. Again, if you guys want to see anything or you have any ideas that you want to see on the page, let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can put a video for that. All right. As always, thank you guys very much and have a good night.